Of the program live from the Element Well studio. We welcome now Secretary of State Michael Watson. Mr. Secretary, good to see you, sir.
You as well. Always good to visit with you, Gerard. Appreciate what you do.
All right, man. Appreciate that. So today is runoff day across Mississippi. All right, how many races do we have that advance to a runoff?
So we've got 8 counties with races today, runoff races: Claiborne, Grenada, Hinds, Montgomery, Pontotoc, Sharkey, Sunflower, and Tate. And they range from school boards to elections commissioners to I think those are the only ones that are a mix of those in those counties. So that's the only 8 we have runoffs in today.
Okay, so no legislative seats, Mr. Secretary?
No, sir. No, sir. No runoffs.
That was all resolved in the big election.
That's exactly
election
right.
day. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So,
is this?
But these are, as you and I talk about, these are really important. The local level elections that impact your lives much more quickly than the federal level or the state level. So, very important that folks go out and have their voices heard today.
I think you could make a case that school boards may have more of an impact, honestly, on society than almost anything. You just watch across the country. Have you ever seen so much attention? Think about this. So many reports and video of proceedings at school board meetings. More in the last year or two than maybe in history up to that point.
Yeah, it's look, school boards are incredibly important. And I heard your segment there prior talking about school choice and having good school boards who understand it's all about the students as opposed to the institution is what's really important, and making sure that you understand these folks can raise your taxes. So making sure you got a good conservative-minded individual in there who really is focused on the child above all else is really important. So I hope folks can pay attention today, as well as election commissioners. You know, we've talked about that before. The job that falls on their shoulders, making sure we have clean voter rolls is of utmost importance to election integrity. And so making sure we have great commissioners who understand their job is really important as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely a great point, because as you and I have discussed so many times, when you've got voter rolls that contain errors and just erroneous, invalid information, you're just opening up the door for anomalies. It may not be malicious in nature. It's just the fact that it's there opens the door up for errors.
That's exactly right. And you and I talked about a bunch over the last 4 years. We started with 43 counties of the 82, 90% or above. So we've got that down to about 20 now. We're doing a lot of good work with our counties, making sure that they understand how important that is, but also educating Mississippians about whose job that is. Who should I hold accountable to make sure my voter rolls are clean? So as we do that, you're going to continue to see that number fall. So we're really excited about that work.
Yeah. All right. So give us a bit of I guess, a conclusion, if you will, on some of the voting day anomalies in Hinds County. Whatever shook out of that?
Yeah, so basically it is a simple mistake. It was unfortunately done on a big day. So you have split precincts that you and I have discussed before. And in those split precincts, typically you're going to have different ballot styles. So a ballot style is, say, you live on one side of the street, I live on the other side of the street. I am in one house district and you are in the other house district. So that ballot style, though we voted the same precinct, we're going to have different people for our House of Representative election. So we're going to have a different ballot style for that shows who are the different candidates in our precinct, but also street lines, whatever the line is. So you've got a different ballot style that is going to have a different candidate on it. Well, in those split precincts, what they did was say in precinct A, you need a 52 ballot style 1 and you need 510 ballot style 2. Well, they flipped it. Ballot style 1 got 510, ballot style 2 got 52. So then you're running out of ballots quickly. I mean, we got our first call around 9 o'clock that morning. So again, a simple error. And unfortunately that took place on a big day that really made a lot of folks upset because they had to wait, had to come back. And it shouldn't be that way. So we're going to continue to work with them and make sure they have all the resources they need from our office. Look, we do the trainings. We make sure that we're on call when they have questions. We help them to understand what the law says. But at the end of the day, that burden falls on their shoulders.
Well, I appreciate you clarifying that, because that's the first such explanation I've heard, which sounds totally more valid than all the other wild stories, of course, that were circulating. You remember them well that day, and I know your office was inundated with them, and your staff was having to field those and deal with it. But that makes total sense there. And again, I think it goes to the point I was making a minute ago, is that wasn't some sort of intentional malice. That was just a mistake, and it's a mistake that could easily be made with the split precincts. I happen to vote at one of those, and you can tell because, as you're well aware, when you present your ID and the person checks you off and makes sure you're supposed to be there, and they'll inform the person who hands you the ballot they need ballot X. Instead of just having one stack of the same ballot where that's not even a question, they just hand you one. They inform the person, this is the one you need. And I always check it, make sure that matches what they said I need. And I know based on the candidates anyhow, but that's what happens.
And Gerard, that's the other piece of what I'm really proud and thankful for, that we've got a group that goes out and educates Mississippians to understand those slight, differences, and this one comes on the heels of redistricting. So, to their defense, in a slight way, they had some new lines that they were dealing with. Now, granted, that information was in SIMS, the statewide election management system, and a mistake was made. But again, you had redistricting, you got these split precincts, and there was just a simple error that turned into basically a big mistake on a big day. So I hate that happened. And again, we're going to do our best to continue to make sure they've got all that they need.
Well, the most important thing was anybody as a result of that denied the right to cast a ballot.
We've not heard that. Now, I will tell you, I heard some stories. As a matter of fact, I had a guy reach out to me and he said, look, I've already been to my precinct twice. Both times they said they did not have ballots. I don't know that I have time to go back. What's your suggestion? And I said, buddy, I'm going to tell you, get in line by 6:45 and don't leave until they get you a ballot. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you had people that were really upset about it, and maybe they didn't come back. I don't know that to be true, but I assume maybe that happened from time to time. But again, that's just guessing. That's no facts.
Well, I feel like if that were the case, and it was certainly if it were widespread, your office would have been flooded with calls and reports of that. And I don't think that was the case. So.
And we spent some good time on the phone with attorneys and others that day. So
I know. I remember you and I were texting.
Calls, right.
it was real time. I mean, it was a live wire for a few hours there. But I know you mobilized your team and dispatched them out to the precincts, to the locations, to make sure everything got back to order. And it's an unfortunate thing. And my guess is that perhaps they'll put some safeguards in place down at the precinct level, at the district level, to just ensure somebody looks over their shoulder and make sure, you got this right before they carry them out to the voting places, right?
That's exactly right. And we're looking at, what can we do to help them even more with their job, if that's something that we can do within the statewide election management system, but also within the bounds of the law, the authority that we're granted by the legislature. We're not going to, outside of what we were told we can do, we're not going to do anything else. So making sure that we can do what we are granted the authority to do is what we plan to do. But that said, again, at the end of the day, it's all about having a great team. And I want to say a big thanks to Kyle Kirkpatrick and our crew here at the office, who, like you said, were out in the precincts making sure that we answered questions real time. And I appreciate all the work that our crew did. And it takes that team of clerks, commissioners, and the Secretary of State's office. And we've really tried to drive that point home with clerks and commissioners all around the state.
Yeah. Before we go, what are you looking to the legislature for? We got a couple of minutes left in the next session. Anything you need from a Secretary of State perspective?
Yeah, so we're talking about campaign finance reform. It's going to be a really big piece that we work on. Happy to come in and kind of walk through that with you on another show. But that's going to be a big centerpiece of our ask. We're also looking at some of our systems now that they're really getting old and aging out, as you well know, in the IT world. You got to continue to update and upgrade. So that's going to be something we look at on the appropriation side. And we've got a few other things we're working on. Again, the regulatory cuts that we've been successful with, continuing to push that narrative across the street. And anything that's good for Mississippi is going to be something that we support. Obviously, I was talking about parental choice in education before it was cool. So that's going to be something we continue to support as well.
I remember it well in the Senate. You were a champion for it, and I hope we can get something done there. I've kind of told folks, those of us that are in the school choice camp, Mr. Secretary, I think we need to start focusing on what it's not as much as what it is, because the thing turns into a fish until it's like, no, that's not how any well-designed plan would work. So we're going to keep working on that. We appreciate all your efforts and those of your staff, and let's have a good runoff day. What'd you say, eight elections right now underway?
8 counties right now. And look, if anybody's got questions out there, 1-800-829-6786 is our hotline. So we're happy to help answer any questions you may have.
Perfect. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon, Mr. Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Rush. See you next time.
See you, buddy.